to iCarly. Um, well, I was gonna one of my opening because I just quickly while we were chatting, I was like, oh, I could have the bullet points for the pre-conversation, and one of them was going to be to address our studio setup.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up too. I was just gonna ask the viewers what they thought of our amazing studio.
It looks amazing.
It's been under renovation for a while. I haven't streamed for like, it's got to be like 3 to 4 months right now. So in that time, we've been building the studio.
It's the luxury of not actually being physically in person is you can just make the studio look exactly how you want it to look.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
I really like my slice of cake. Who decided that it was going to be matcha flavored? I just had a dream about matcha flavored cake this morning.
oh yeah, you want to tell us about it?
Yeah. Well, it was more of a nightmare. It was a dream where there were people who were planning to murder me or kidnap me or do something really terrible.
Why?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but they were, and basically they led me to this room, and I knew it was going to be a trap, but I went along with it anyway. Just because I knew I was outnumbered. Then when I walked inside that room, I saw a whole buffet of really good food that I really liked. So a lot of sweets, lots of cakes and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, those people said to me, "Happy birthday."
What?
Yeah, it's not my birthday, and I'm not friends with you guys. I know this is a trap. But then I saw that there was cake, and I just couldn't help but, walk forward and with my plate and just start slicing pieces of cake for myself, and it was so delicious. I just forgot completely that they were waiting to kidnap or murder me or whatever. Yeah, the dream ended before there was any real resolution, but there was matcha cake roll.
Well, I'm glad that your dream worked out and you weren't murdered.
It wasn't such a bad dream after all.
Yeah. Well, I designed the studio.
Yes, you did.
Guess I decided. And you had brought up matcha cake as something you really liked. The day I was designing it, so I thought that would be a good.
Really? I don't remember, but that sounds like me.
Yeah,
it does sound like you. Yeah.
I definitely did not predict the future of what dream you would have the night before we went live on this. We did not even have scheduled at the time. But yeah, maybe the desk objects will shuffle in.
Well, it's funny because Genshin updated today, and it's a Klee banner day. I went and bought her outfit and everything. So she's pretty at home right there on the desk. Pretty accurate today.
Wow.
Yeah, you did a great job. You're 2 for 2.
Lemur mugs dropped.
Yeah, what's on my mug?
Is that your confession? Is that what you're confessing today? You're dropping a merch line?
Oh, I wish.
Way to get the viewers' hopes up. They've been waiting for it. They've been waiting for the merch line.
Lemonade, I think that's what it was.
It is lemonade.
Well, again, the other scary thing is I have Devin Booker behind me because I just wanted a cool poster because I'm a Suns fan. But Moya's posting pictures of her library.
Yeah, that was that was funny. Didn't expect it.
Yeah, everyone else's piece of poster.
Oh, I like mine.
Equates to their I feel it's pretty self-explanatory for everyone.
Yes. But... Well, you'll notice in the middle there, it's a conspicuously blank area, and that's because I haven't told us what we're talking about tonight. I mean, both of you know, but the people at home don't know. Any guesses for people watching what we're talking about? We've hinted at it quite a bit on social media and in real life to people that we actually know. No response. I expected that, but that's okay. What, Moya? Why don't you tell everyone about confessions? What we're talking about today?
I didn't know it was supposed to be a secret. Oh, whoa! It showed up. That's so cool. Yeah, I didn't know it was supposed to be a secret, so I feel like I was already making it pretty explicit when I was tweeting about this thing that we're doing today. Confessions is a Japanese novel by Kanae Minato, and it was adapted into a movie. and we all watched the movie together, and we had thoughts.
Yes, we do have opinions, as the sweet genius guy
Good
would
for
say.
us.
Yeah. So Moya, this whole podcast was your idea. Why did you want us to watch Confessions?
Because it's a cool movie. That's kind of it.
I mean, that's a very valid point.
You
No,
did pick
I
a
think
nice
it's
intro
cool
episode.
to compare books and adaptations all the time. I mean, Kay's the movie guy, and I'm supposedly the book person, and
I have opinions.
Then you have
I'm a
opinions.
question mark. I question things. That's what I do.
You do. You probably opinionate better than both of us.
I don't know. Kay's got a lot of opinions too. Have you heard him talk ever?
Yeah, he has opinions.
He's got you there.
All right. Well,
Such opinions.
For folks who have not seen or read Confessions, you want to give like an elevator pitch. What's it about? Spoiler free. For this
I'm so
part.
terrible at summarizing books. Like, it's supposedly part of my job to summarize books to people, but
you can pass it off to Kay if you want. You can pass it to Kay.
Okay, no, I'll give it a try. So it's about spoiler free. It's about a teacher who teaches a classroom, and the kids are kind of crazy, and she's kind of crazy too, and crazy things happen. Accurate?
I mean, yeah.
Not wrong.
It's not wrong. That is definitely what it's about. Okay, you wanna expand on that a little bit?
And milk.
Got milk.
There's a lot of milk and blood, like the Deer King, which is also
exactly
recently.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we wanted any preamble to talk about the Deer King.
We might as well get the Deer King out of the way.
Yeah, we all love the Deer King. Right?
What a letdown!
Every time we all watched the Deer King together.
It was a bad movie, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you were the only one.
At least you're honest.
At least you're honest.
It's a very gorgeous. I mean, it looks pretty.
It did look nice, and the music was quite enjoyable.
They clearly put a lot of thought into the world building. I don't know if it worked out necessarily, but it's a world that I was interested in learning more about, and yeah.
I'll learn about the world you do. That is, it's kind of like a weird like lore movie, right?
It would be like if this podcast opened with panning shots of nature and then just walls of text giving you deep history lessons about each of our personas and why we all came together to talk about this movie Confessions, but we took a detour to talk about the Deer King instead, which the movie also does, because it takes a detour too. So we're being accurate to Deer King lore.
If it just focused on the guy who's clearly the director's son, even though it's an animated movie.
Yeah, why was that guard? So he was like the main character almost.
For context, if you've not seen the Deer King, there's a random like guard knight character, and
oh my goodness,
he's kind of like the fumbling like idiot, I guess.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the comic relief character, but unless you just want to laugh at someone being mildly stupid, he's not really funny at all.
He kind of gets like an insane amount of screen time, despite like
3/4 of the movie.
I don't think he didn't really.
Yeah, for doing nothing.
maybe he didn't impact the plot.
No,
like, in a sense, yeah.
Not at all.
Like he teases that he could, but he's just kind of there.
True. Anyway, that's pretty much the Deer King. So that's a 3 out of 10. I don't recommend it. It's a father-daughter anime, and I hated it. And so
it was a 6.05 out of 10.
Where'd you get the 0.05? Would you like to laugh?
I don't know. It's just intuition. It just felt right.
Scott, I'm glad you enjoyed
I liked the movie a lot
there.
more than I didn't. I can see its flaws. I acknowledge that, but I like that it exists.
That's fair. Scott also liked it. You know, we've got a viewer comment.
Hi,
Our good
Scott.
buddy Scott.
We're 2v2.
I'm glad someone else enjoyed it. It balances it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you
I
know,
really
sometimes
wanted to like it. I'm quite disappointed that I didn't enjoy it, to be honest.
I liked Lady.
Oh,
Fair,
lady.
yes. Tracking lady, she was
She
nice.
reminds me of the green-haired girl in Fate.
Green haired mommy?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right?
Not the mom. Well,
Not the mommy, but you know, the
you're thinking of
mommy.
Atlantis?
Atalantia, the one that's a cat girl, not the
I
not the
should know her
Jacqueline.
name. I have
Not
I have
Jacqueline
it on a
Atlee.
Atalantia.
few.
No, no, no.
The archer.
Archer. Yeah.
Atalantia.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
Atlantis Scorpantis.
yeah. Hmm.
All right, let's circle back to confessions.
Yeah.
So, what do we want to start with this whole movie discussion? It is a wild ride. There is a lot to talk about. We are gonna have to. There's no way we won't spoil at least some of this movie. So just be warned about that ahead of time. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I mean, I think I have a few points that at least don't spoil things, and then we can kind of
sure. Let's start with
ease our way into
those, and
spoilers.
we'll move on. We'll get more spoiler heavy as we go on. That sounds about right.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I guess for starters, because I think this is an interesting conversation, especially with someone who's read the book and for someone who um watched the second version that I watched. So I watched two different versions, but the only difference being the subtitle translations. We watched both of them in subtitles, and it was very interesting watching it the second time around because the one that you watched, Mr. Spencer, was a little bit more literal, a little bit more like it kind of told you outright, versus the first one I watched was a little bit more vague, and I think there's some pros and cons with
I
that.
was quite happy with the subtitles that we had.
Oh my
I thought
god, I agree.
they were quite good.
Yeah, they were
Mhm.
accurate, as far as I can remember.
And I'd say both of them are accurate. But like for example, the best way to there's that like the bubble metaphor,
Yeah,
and
that is a
I think in the
recurring
one,
motif.
yeah,
Yep.
Hmm.
and I think in the one I watched first, the bubble, they describe it as the sensation of something that will like never be the same,
Yeah,
which
that
means the same
means the same
principle.
thing.
But in the one we watched, it was uh the like sound of losing someone important to you.
Oh yeah.
And those are both mean the same thing, but one's more of a like a vague like
Well, bubbles are
prose.
transient things. It's more just a
Yeah,
loose concept of things are fleeting. You know, it's
Yeah,
there.
based
but
on your
It's cool while
the
it's
description.
the one
there,
that you did
and then
was
it's gone.
specifically like attaching it to a person.
Yes.
Based on your
Um,
description, I feel like I like the vague one more.
yes, there is some drawback to the vagueness of that though. Um, and that's where confusion set in, and maybe it was me. Maybe I was a little bit of a poor, because I know you have problems with the almost literal 20-minute monologue at the beginning,
Yeah, that we'll get to that later.
which I think is a great scene, but I can
It is a great
understand
scene, but it is the worst part of the movie.
maybe it like draws your. I wouldn't say that. But so that's a spoiler. I'm going to jump into the one that's a little. I'm gonna start with the vague concept.
Sure, go for it. I
So
mean, we've both seen it. We should be able to follow.
the schoolroom teacher is a Yuko Moriguchi,
Yes, that sounds right.
and she had this daughter who wound up being uh, dying. But the obvious cause of death was foul play. Foul play was involved,
Yeah, true.
and through certain pieces of evidences and her knowledge with like her students, she is able to piece together that 2 students in her class are responsible for that murder.
Yes.
And yeah, and with and then the whole thing kind of just evolves. It's that's confession. It kind of goes into both those kids. The whole monologue is kind of her kind of part of her confession of like setting up that she knows kind of what's up and what she ends up doing, which
It's the
I
catalyst for the
won't.
whole movie. So
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe, and maybe I kind of more missed it. I think it's heavily implied. So she's aware of what each of the students. I wanted to bring up a Japanese like juvenile like law, and that's kind of a big like crux of the movie. Is
yes,
that like
the movie does kind of expect you to understand the Japanese penal system in a vague sense, but the movie also outlines it for you, so
mhm.
you don't need to know that much.
Yeah, basically just it's mostly just minors like can't be like charged as adults,
Mm-hmm.
and
Usually, yeah.
um, murder is a big boy crime.
Murder is a big
Mm-hmm.
boy crime, except for in the
Um,
Japanese penal system if you're a child.
but the role that one of the students plays is kind of it's in a way where it's could have been an accident,
Mm.
and they kind of set like, and that's kind of set up in her monologue. But I believe in the version you guys watched, I believe it almost explicitly says that that student is aware that their actions actually caused the murder.
So I think you're like kind of vaguely misremembering this. Yes and no.
Okay.
You're right, but
Okay.
you're also wrong. But I get how you're drawing this conclusion. So
Okay.
the
I
first time it is presented exactly what you're saying, but later in the movie they do show that actually no, I was completely aware and I consciously made this decision. It's a
okay,
very
that's what I
minor
wanted to
spoiler,
know.
but
That's what I wanted to
yes,
know because uh in the first one it kind of comes as like that's like a reveal is when he's like talking to his mom where it's like, well, actually
yes,
this
it's
actually
meant
happened.
to be a reveal in both versions,
Okay.
from
Okay,
from
that's
what
what
I
I thought.
gather.
I didn't know if it was. Um, Moya, any anything you want to add to this?
Comments
Like,
about the subtitling?
yeah.
No, I mean I didn't have the comparison of the first one, but I thought the subtitling was well done.
Yeah, I agree.
I had no
thought it
issues
was
with it,
quite
and I tend to
nice.
have a lot of issues with subtitles, so no, this one was good.
And
Mm-hmm.
for people who don't know Japanese, that's not
I
what I
don't know
meant.
Jack.
No. For people who don't know,
Don't know
Moya's
Jack.
kind of our expert out of the three of us when it comes to subtitle quality. So you do quite often offer opinions on subtitles when we watch subtitled things. So
Yeah.
well, I guess since we brought up that opening monologue, that's a good segue. Let's talk about the first 20 minutes of the movie. There's not really anything to spoil in that first 20 minutes. It is essentially an extended monologue
Mm-hmm.
that sets up the plot. And I'm in the camp that I think that is a very necessary part of the movie, but it's also the most boring part of the movie until it stops being boring, and then it's retroactively quite interesting, which sounds really contradictory, but I'm sure these two will explain why as we discuss.
No, yeah, that sounds accurate. Kate, do you want to go first?
Sure. Well, for starters, I like even how they set up before the monologue even begins, and that
The milk
they.
commercial.
この中学校は本年度全国1万13歳の肉体と精神にどれほどの牛乳効果があるのかは分かりませんが
Got milk?
The milk commercial, I did think
The
that
milk
was funny,
commercial.
and the classroom is definitely full of little shits.
Well, yeah, that's what it portrays so well. It's like this classroom is like a tornado hit it, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
all awful things you could think of, like what is this, like middle school, like roughly? I know
They're
Japanese.
high school, I believe.
Junior high.
They are
Junior,
middle school.
okay.
Okay, they are middle school. If you've ever worked as a teacher, picture the worst classroom you've ever had, and then amplify it by like about 10.
Everyone's
That sounds
on their
about
phone. Right. Everyone's sticking gum under the desks. Everyone's talking
Throwing
over the
stuff around.
teacher.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a bold to just do a monologue, because I don't know exactly how else you would do it. It feels like it's very important to the book, which I'm sure Moya can.
Well, it's the entire setup for the movie. The movie literally does not function without this monologue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was reading the book, like when I realized that there was a movie, this was the part that I was the most curious about, because I had no idea how they were going to make it work on screen. It was a very long monologue in the book. It was the entire chapter, and it was probably the longest chapter in the book. Not sure because I don't have it in front of me, but it felt very long. And when you're reading the book, you just get the teacher's monologue, right? You don't get any description of the student's behavior or anything like that. So as a reader, I think you're just naturally inclined to assume that the students were just sitting there listening very attentively as the captive audience. Yeah, because you don't get to read anything about them at all. So to see it so different on screen from my expectations, that was interesting. Yeah, especially how it started with the milk ad.
The milk ad is pretty good.
Yeah, and how lively everything was. So immediately the atmosphere already feels very different. It wasn't solemn at all like I imagined it to be. It was very rowdy.
Just for quick context, the teacher, her monologue is she's telling the students, I hate being a teacher. I'm retiring. This is my last day. Here's an important life lesson, essentially.
Yeah.
And she monologues a life lesson.
Yeah, thank you. And in the book, it felt like she was this very respected figure who was just very competent and had like total control over the class. But in the movie, you see her like walking around the room and down the aisles, and even when she was that close to the students, she had no authority at all.
No.
I guess part of me was a bit disappointed in that, because I thought the teacher was this really badass character when I was reading the book.
Well, she is.
She is.
As we'll see further into the movie.
Further into the movie. But no, it's a major difference. I don't dislike it. It's good.
I understand what you're getting at, though, because it really does feel like she had, like, you would kind of imagine like she has everyone's attention, and it's one of those like she is so captivating and like going on this huge monologue. It's almost like you can hear like a pin drop, like kind of one of those. Where it's
that's
like,
what I was imagining.
But I think it works better this way. One, it much better justifies why she holds certain opinions about certain things as this movie goes on. And it adds extra weight to when things actually get serious, because no one is really taking any of this monologue seriously until she reveals what she did to the milk. and all of a sudden, everyone is paying a lot of attention. I feel like this is one part of the movie we absolutely have to spoil. Moya, what did she do to the two students she believes murdered her child? What did she do to their milk?
She injected HIV-infected blood into their milk. Or at least she thought she did.
That's what she claims. And boy, when that happens, you wake up. The movie has started.
Oh yeah. Even like someone was like outside the classroom. That was also a weird setup too. Was like some kids literally left the classroom to go up on the roof
to bully another
throw a baseball at some kid.
Yeah, well, this classroom has a bullying problem. Well, like most Japanese schools.
I still don't completely get that. I still don't completely get that part of the movie, because it feels like, because they're not supposed to start bullying those kids until like the second part, right, when everything has been revealed. And the kids are found to be
I
killers.
think that's mostly there just to establish that the classroom has a history of doing that. So we're not surprised later when, oh yes, they continue to do that. What's next on this talking point list? That's basically the setup. Is now these two students were following them along with the teacher interspliced here and there, dealing with the fact that they may or may not now be infected with HIV. And we learn about various confessions along the way. They are all wild.
I have 2 points that both are still kind of non-spoilery. And
Sure, let's go for it.
First, I just wanted to highlight Tetsuya Nakashima, who is the director of this movie.
He did a great job.
Like his most notable role is Kamikaze Girls, which is this. Just think of like a Japanese comedy. They're kind of girls. It's borderline like a. I only watched like the trailer, but it almost looked like a live action like panty and stocking kind of character just running around. And he's mostly known for comedy. This is his first non-comedy role.
Is this movie
IMDb.
not a secret comedy? Because I laughed like hard multiple times in this movie. I thought it was hilarious.
Gonna say, what do you think of this source, the source material being taken by a comedic director, and how I thought he did an excellent job of blending both comedy.
Humor.
Yes, because the movie is morbid, and I find that dark subject matter and comedy go hand in hand. It's a good marriage if done successfully.
Yeah, the story, it's a bizarre premise, and the movie is sort of self-aware of that, and and not afraid of just highlighting the bizarreness of it with a bit of humor, and that's great. Are we going to talk about the dance scene?
The another dance scene?
Yeah, we can.
I love that scene. It's amazing.
My letterbox review is that's the way. I like it.
That's the way, I like it. That's the way, I like it. That's the way, I like it. That's the way, I like it.
Which goes hand in hand with my my other not really spoiler point is I think this movie has one of the best soundtracks.
Oh, no joke. It really does. It's full of surprises. Much like the movie itself.
We're referencing a scene that has a Casey and the Sunshine Band. That's the way I like it. But also a surprise song from Radiohead, Last Flowers. Yep. It also had Etsuko, who's most known, at least by us, from Penguin Drum. So just a lot of really talented artists.
Yeah, it's a
really
stacked movie.
The mood.
The movie is stacked, I think, in just about every way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, any more comments on the soundtrack? Or
it was great.
It's great.
It's really good. It's hard to really explain how well it works in context without being able to show you clips, which on Twitch I'm not going to do. But
I might.
No, you can on YouTube when this later moves to YouTube. But on Twitch, no clips are. Or I would show them to you, but they really do work well in context.
Mm-hmm. But I guess circling back to both the I like it scene and I just think it's so clever, and because I know you think it's hilarious and you think it's a secret comedy, and I do too. I think it's a really funny movie, but I don't think it runs that tightrope act of balancing both the levity, but
for sure,
it doesn't distract from like the pain and misery that some of these characters go through, as well as like how, because it's a deep-seated revenge story at the end of the day, and I don't think it detracts from how dire and grim this whole setting is, but it does kind of find the absurdity
Yes.
of like any of this.
Yeah, no, I totally actually agree with that. That's more or less my stance. I just think that the funny parts are really, really funny, and
They're really good.
and they're very memorable
But it's
to
like
me.
sometimes it's like they say like really like dramatic works, you have to like find the most like dramatic answer, and it does kind of remind me a little bit. I mean, it kind of goes to the points where it is kind of like Oedipus Rex or like Old Boy, which like if you think of like those examples of like how comically absurd it is, and it's so self-aware of that, but like you can still find like the human psyche, and like it's
Well,
still
for
it's
sure.
wild.
Like, let's like, there's a scene later in the movie, and again, we unavoidable. There's going to be some spoilers here, but one of the students is he becomes a a shut-in. I can't say the word right now. He just becomes a shut-in, and
I'm a jungle boy.
and the his mental state deteriorates for various reasons. And the scene portrays this with wacky cartoon noises and him like hitting himself and screaming.
When I feel lonely, please stand beside
でもこれが生きてる証。この歯もこの髪もこの爪もこの匂いもお腹がすくのも生きてる証。え？え？死ぬ。たった13歳で森口で殺される。まだキスもエッチもしたことないのに。なんで？君が出来損ないだから。違う。僕は直君はいい子だよね、母さん。勉強だって運動だって人殺しだってやればできる子。
And but it's like it's a really serious scene, but it's presented in the most cartoonish and outlandish way possible. The scene is really funny,
Yeah,
but like what's happening in the scene is not funny at all. And that's kind of the movie in a nutshell.
Yeah, and another scene like that was when they were making the card for him with the secret death message. And
人死ね。
Oh, yes, it's lots of stuff like that.
yeah, like they turned that into a home music video.
Yeah, that was pretty funny
they
though.
did. But yeah, but like there is always context and like deeper meaning, because like as much they do break out into a song and dance for like a straight minute.
Yes.
And that seems like absurd and uncalled for in context, but the context is we talked about the opening monologue. Yuko is leaving the classroom, and basically she ends on that grimdark note. I gave you HIV. Good luck with everything. You guys do with that information as you want. And like how that was like towards the end of the year, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. They get another teacher,
But they
who
get
she
another
manipulates to make the situation even worse.
But the dance number comes from the arrival of the new teacher, who kind of like is so oblivious to everything that
for context, he's the kind of teacher who wants to be friends with all the students. He wants the classroom to be fun and exciting, and everybody does buy into the lie that everything's fine, everything's happy, everything is great, actually. But as we know, no, that's not true. And that's just some kind of there is some meta commentary there to a degree, which is interesting. I don't know how it is in the book, but it is portrayed quite well in the movie and discussed at length. there.
Yeah, I also want to mention one detail in the book. The teacher, it was mentioned in the book that the teacher willfully decided not to read the notes that the previous teacher left on that class. Because he was like, I want you guys to start on a fresh new slate because I love all of you and you deserve, I don't know, you deserve it for me to get to know you.
Oh, see, that's interesting because in the movie, she goes out of her way to be like, "Oh, our
Oh, no, she
classroom."
does that in the book too.
She
You later
does, she
find out that
does.
she's been communicating with him and teaching him little tips on how to get closer with his students.
Oh yeah, yeah, her great little tips, like force yourself into your students' homes and scream at them.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone loves
Well,
that.
So basically, in a slight spoilers, which we probably can.
I think we've been talking almost an hour. I think at this point, that's
Yep.
about all we've got left to talk about is spoiler territory. So buckle up.
We all recommend the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Go watch it.
The easy
If you don't
9
want
out of 10, 10
spoilers.
out of 10, depending on who you ask.
Yep, we'll probably do spoiler conversations. We might do a little bit of questions at the end, related to confessions, related to anything people want to talk about.
Yeah.
So
Who knows?
up to people if they want to.
We're all hiding things here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got at least one body underneath me. I mean,
yeah, but basically, where a lot of what they're saying comes from, basically, the two students involved in this murder, are kind of complete opposites of the spectrum. Where the feral kid, which is Naoki Shimomura.
that sounds right to me. I don't have the names in front of me, but that does sound right.
I know he's an elf.
Basically, he feels so like guilty, and he doesn't want to face like the bullying of his class. That basically he just kind of shuts
He also
himself
doesn't
in.
want to give anyone AIDS, especially not his mom.
Yeah, and he's very caring and
I don't
like
know.
remorseful.
I wouldn't call him caring. No, but go on.
Well,
Well,
it depends
it's the it is kind of what the movie's going for, though. Is his personality is he's actually quite compassionate and considerate, but at the other hand, like most people, he's contradictory. And in that one moment early on in the movie, he's a cold-blooded killer. That's what he is in that one moment. But who he is at a more consistent and constant level, well, he's not that person. And he really can't live with the fact that he kind of did what he did.
He's one of those characters that makes the folly of like doubling down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where it's like I don't want to face the consequences of my action, which a lot of that is, and a lot of like everything he does is not really because he's like a cold or like malicious person, but more so like he gets pinned to a corner, and then that's when
he pretends to be that cold and malicious person, but
yeah,
he's not.
There's that for sure. Like he's definitely he's definitely not cold-blooded, but at the same time, I feel like there's that distinction between guilt and shame. And I feel like, or at least maybe it's because of the additional context of having read the book, I feel like he's more concerned about how his actions are perceived than like what they really mean. Like he doesn't care as much like about the fact that he killed a little girl than the fact that killing the little girl didn't really give him the results that he was hoping for.
That's true. I think that is also shown in the movie because he ultimately is motivated by he wants the respect of his peers because he's kind of like he's the one the class clowns on. He's kind of an idiot. He doesn't really have a lot going for him. And so he thinks that by defying the expectations that other people have laid out for him, he'll suddenly gain the respect of his peers. But, murdering a young child isn't exactly worthy of respect. So, shocker that doesn't go very well.
Yeah, there's also that scene later on where he rubs his blood all over the convenience store items.
Oh, that was
Because screw the whole world.
crazy.
If I'm going down, they're all going down with me.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Kind of.
But there's also that one scene where we're like we're in spoiler talk now. Like
Yes.
how this ends up working is a little girl who was murdered.
Yeah, she's
The
like
teacher's
4
daughter.
years old, I think. They call her out. She's quite young.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Basically, Shuya, who I just call Light Yagami.
I think
Fair.
that is the most accurate. People out there saying the Oshinoko guy is like Nagami.
Yeah, more than Oshinoko.
No, y'all Oshinoko fans need to go watch Confessions, and you'll see the real Light Yagami.
Yeah, where he's like a completely like corrupted, kind of like narcissist ego man, like who you kind of would expect to be like the killer.
Yeah.
But all this started was he wanted like attention, and he's kind of like a tinkerer, kind of like an inventor.
Yep.
But because he's a kind of an asshole, his invention is he calls it like an anti-perp like wallet.
It's a
taser. If well, like that's what it is. Like he kind of like under the guise that like, oh, people have like this little like, what would you call it, like a penny sack, or
it's so
like, kind of like a wallet.
Basically,
like
how
a
this
purse
works
wallet.
is it's like a device you hook up to your purse, and if someone grabs the zipper, like they were going to try and steal the stuff out of your purse, you get electrocuted. So it's like a taser on a zipper. That's the best way to envision this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But that's how he like does. Basically, he wants to make it like a torture device.
Yes.
And like he's trying to up the dosage, and then it's pretty much like a joy buzzer, like taser.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently he upped the voltage a little too much.
Well, he did want to kill
but
someone because that's the ultimate way to get attention. Because he got that positive attention. Wow, you invented this great thing. You're so awesome. But nobody actually cared about that. Because what people actually care about is horrible stuff that happens in the world, according to the news. So he goes, well, these serial killings, they're pretty popular. What if I killed someone? Then I'd be cool. Then everyone would know me.
So that's the role he plays, but he shocks the little girl at such a high dosage it knocks her unconscious.
Yes, it doesn't actually kill her. We think it kills her, but later on we learn in fact it didn't.
Because we was like, oh, she got shocked so hard her heart stopped, and then that would kill a little girl. But it's revealed the actual cause of death was drowning.
Yes.
Which the other Naoki,
Jungle Boy, as we like to call him,
was the one who was he there when he did it?
He was there. He saw
because
he realized that it didn't work.
Light Yagami,
he realized that the girl was still alive.
Says, "You're a moron. I never wanted to be friends with you. You stupid idiot. How are you so dumb? I used you." And he goes, "Oh yeah? Well, I'll show you." And then he drowns her.
Yeah.
He wanted to be the one to deal the final blow, basically.
Yeah, he wanted to steal that guy's thunder because, well, he didn't actually murder anyone. So joke's on him. He didn't get what he wanted.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's kind of the joke in the whole movie is no one gets what they actually wanted, sort of.
The opposite of Puss in Boots.
Lo and behold, murdering a kid has consequences.
Whoa, maybe don't do that.
Yeah, but we were talking about like Naoki, and like he actually goes to Light Yagami, and he kind of like puffs his chest. He was like, "You wanted to be the cool murderer. And I actually did it, not you. Like I actually went through with it, even though like you can kind of tell he's kind of like, I'm so screwed. Like I'm dying, and that's why he basically locks himself in and he grows out his hair and like fingernails just to like prove he's still alive. Like I know that was a
What else? Oh, should we talk about that girl?
Which one?
I was gonna bring that up because a little bit that circles back to the translations. I had a little bit, but it also brought up that you said his inventions were overshown by terrible stuff in the news.
Yes.
Mhm.
All you see today is the violence and the movies and sex on TV.
That's what they say.
Not the good old family values that we used to rely. But they actually, in almost like a comedic point, they show his news article as like not like the headline, but it's like one of the like articles under the headline.
Mhm.
And the real headline is actually about the lunacy incident.
Oh yes, the
And
murder.
that's where we have to talk about Mizuki.
Yes, the girl who's obsessed with them.
Yes.
Okay, is she just okay?
She's a fangirl. Yes, the movie is a little bit vague on that, but she's just a fangirl.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what I was
upon
getting
further
to.
reflection.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, that was the point that I thought, because she had the tattoo.
Yes.
And basically the lunacy incident was it's said to be a girl though, right?
Yeah, a girl
Yeah.
murdered
It's
her
said to be a
family.
girl.
Basically, she poisoned them.
Yeah.
And then you see she has the tattoo, and that kind of explains. She's just one of those people who kind of has that like morbid curiosity.
She's the kind of the I'm not like other girls. I'm a
Yeah.
little bit crazy and dangerous, but really, she's not. I mean, at the end of the day, she's not really.
Okay, because she does even come out and say that like the lunacy girl is my other self.
Yes, because
but
she wants to do what that girl did, but
Yeah,
she's not willing to actually deal with the consequences of doing that.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just
Yeah,
wanted
that's
to
what I'm
clarify
getting to.
that point.
In case it's unclear, this movie has a lot to say about the contradictory nature of people.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, what were your thoughts on the girl?
I didn't expect her to get as much screen time as she did, because she really feels like a more minor character. For additional context, she's the class representative for this classroom, and she comes off as almost prim and proper, but as we get to know her more and more, that's not who she wants to be, but it kind of is who she is. She fits into that role pretty well. Throughout the whole movie, we keep seeing her caring for the other students, even the people who murdered someone. She wants to be nice to them. She genuinely does. And now her kindness ends up being cruelty. Different discussion, but I thought it was interesting that she became more of a character than we were initially led to expect.
I get that, because I think she's like the heart of the movie, or at least
from the classroom side of things. I can agree with that. I think the teacher is still very much the focus. She is omnipresent in this movie.
Yes, but like she's Mizuki's kind of the moral compass in a way. That because she's the one who, when the class kind of wants to like ignore, just ignore it. Just let's bully
when we want to sing
the murder children,
sing American songs and do another dance room classroom scenes.
Yeah, because like the class kind of like which is a big theme in like a Silent Voice, is the whole like which kind of, that's another movie that kind of illustrates like
it's a toxic
culture. It's like a toxic cult. Oh, they go in completely different tones, directions. But even at the heart of that one, it's all about like that classroom was a toxic culture, and everyone kind of in their own way has to take responsibility,
like the bystander effect. The bystander. Well, it's not affecting me, so.
No, I can't remember. Oh, sorry. You can finish that thought.
No, I was just gonna say, like, she helps like the classroom. She's the one who actually goes to the teacher and tries to do that, and she's the one who actually talks to like Yagami.
Yeah,
which I know is like part of her obsession, but she does seem to actually care about him, and she's willing to call him out on his bullshit,
which she pays for, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Whoopsie.
Don't remember if this was part of the movie too, but like in the end of her segment in the book, she confesses, well, actually, I had a crush on the Naoki guy all along.
What?
Was this
That's
part of the
not in the
movie?
movie at all.
Yeah, I thought that was very random, and that was
random.
one aspect that made me feel like, oh, this character is kind of all over the place. But yeah, so I guess that didn't happen in the movie. I just don't remember.
No, that definitely did not happen in the movie. That's wild.
No.
That
No.
was a revelation.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say about that though. And the way she got murdered, that was probably the, a lot of crazy things happened in this
so
story,
many
but that
crazy
was
things happen.
yeah, that was one aspect that I thought was because in the book, the what's his name, Shuya,
Shuya.
the like Yagami guy, he was basically boasting on how, oh, well, maybe he wasn't really boasting, he was just matter of factly stating, I killed my girlfriend and nobody cares. I just put her in a fridge and nobody looked for her. Like, wow, how did this happen?
That is kind of what happens in the movie, though. I mean,
yeah, that is what happens in the movie, and
but,
it makes you go,
but the movie does add like that element of humor again, where the first time they hang out, he's like, "Hey, do you want a drink?" And then they mirror that scene again, but she's in the fridge that time. Pretty funny. I'm not doing that scene justice. It's quite funny.
Well, I actually give a lot of respect to like in terms of like filmmaking. Like it's very unflinching, because she dies because he takes a blunt object, and like you actually get like a decent like long cut of like him swinging it down, and like obviously they don't show impact because like they're not going to actually hit an actor.
But in general, I'd say the movie doesn't really shy away from the cruelty. It shows it to you, even when it's not showing it to you. You see it, even if you don't.
Well, there's like a lot of like when the he drowns, like he like tosses her up, and you actually see like they toss the kid, and at least I'm pretty sure like it looks like they actually tossed the kid in the pool. It's not like because like they could have shied away where you like see her like at the pool, like under the pool shot, or like her body floating, or they could have thrown a dummy or something. But
well, if they didn't throw that child, it was convincing. Yes.
Yeah. But also like again going back to like the comedic tone, it is borderline Danganronpa like blood smears.
Where like it kind of is.
It's just a bunch of like really bright red like cartoon blood. But that adds to it because it's kind of there's so much. That's kind of the movie, yeah. Like there's a lot of blood, but it's not like like blood. It's kind of like oh,
that sure happened.
It's like stylized.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of what I feel about the movie. Anyway, I think it's quite good. Like I said, it's a 9 out of 10 movie for me. I really recommend it if you haven't watched it.
Yeah.
Go out, watch it, come back, tell us about it on Twitter or on Kay's YouTube channel. But before we wrap up the conversation about confessions, is there anything else?
I'm
asking.
Yeah.
Anything we missed?
I have two things. I made a point of like symbolism.
Yes.
Which I think this movie does a great job of imagery. We talked about the bubble.
Yes, the bubble's we were talking about like the motif in this movie.
The like pulpy invention, but like there's one point where he's like smashing like a invention or like a toy or something, and you see like all the springs and sprockets and gears kind of fall out of it. And I thought that was an interesting parallel to kind of show the point of his trauma and like link it back to like the blood and all the like the destructive nature of it.
Yeah, and all the violence he experienced in his childhood too from his mom.
Oh yeah, all of the characters have a reason for you to sympathize with them, even if they've done horrible things. That doesn't mean you root for them, but you at least understand why they're doing what they're doing.
That's a good way to put it.
Yep. And then the reverse clock is like the most
Yes,
obvious
that's
imagery, and it's
maybe
kind
the
of
most on the nose thing in that movie is the reverse clock.
Yeah.
okay. And then two more things. We're gonna have to go into like the most ultimate of spoilers. So if you've not heeded the spoiler warning, at that point that's kind of on you.
True.
But this is your final spoiler warning, because I think there is a lot to say about the ending.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we didn't talk about
And I
the
think
ending. We should talk about
book,
that.
I think it's interpretational, though I agree with kind of both sides of that coin. So does anyone want to explain the ending or the
Well, the teacher comes back.
Mm-hmm.
She comes back full force. At this point in the movie, she is targeting Shuya, our Light Yagami character, and
gonna pull a Heather's?
just relentlessly messing with this guy. She thinks it's the funniest thing to just mess with him.
Yeah, she's a lot more involved in the movie than in
She's
the book.
she's really
yeah.
involved in the movie.
Okay.
I don't know how it is in
Yeah.
the book, but in the
She's
movie,
everywhere.
she's like Puss in Boots, the first one where Humpty Dumpty is everywhere. It's like that. She's
Yeah.
comically everywhere. She's calling this guy left and right. And that's because she has figured out that Shuya, what he wants is he just wants his mom's attention. That's all he wants throughout this whole movie. Mom's like a big shot university lady. I quite honestly, it's not that important, other than he wants her attention, and he could get it at any time. He just chooses not to, which characters do call him out on this.
Well, it's a little bit because basically his mom
She's a genius.
ended up. She's a genius. She is, but also I think she like started a new family.
She did.
Yeah.
Yes, she did start a new family, and she moved.
And it's like one of those situations. Yeah, she moved for her research, but she's like back at like the university or something, and he knows that, and he has an opportunity to go meet her, but because of some childhood
He is
trauma
not worthy.
of her, which they do show, like the mom was, from his perspective, was like borderline abusive. Borderline abusive. Borderline abusive.
More than borderline.
Yeah, she was not the greatest mom. She was no green-haired.
Maybe
mommy.
even just straight up. Doesn't she actually? She actually like smacks.
She does.
Yeah,
At
she
one
does.
point, she does
She's
smack him.
terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, no, she's pretty awful.
Yeah. But like all he wants is like that approval from this awful lady. But obviously he kind of like the Riddler in like the Batman movie. He kind of goes on to his online forum of like 300 followers, and basically he says like I can't, like I have to prove, or like he makes it so he doesn't want that approval, but like he wants to be known for doing something important.
Yes.
And he goes the Jason Dean from Heather's route, and the most noteworthy thing he can do is put a bomb under his school. And when he gives a speech at like graduation,
Yes, at their graduation, he plans to blow himself up along with the entire student body, which is obviously insane, like most of this movie.
Yep.
But that's not what happens.
That's his plan. He gives his speech. His speech references a line earlier. The teacher actually confronts him before the whole even like HIV AIDS in the milk.
Yep.
And like told him that like she knows the incident, and he actually like runs up to a window and makes it seem like he's gonna jump. But he ends up laughing it off and saying like, just kidding, like you really thought I would care.
Yeah. Joke's on him. He really does.
Yep. And so like when he's giving his like graduation speech, he's doing this whole like, oh, we as people can blah 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 blah. He gives a very generic like graduation speech
with a lot of double
but
meaning. Like most Japanese media, this movie
Yeah.
has a lot of double entendre.
Yep. But under his breath, he says, "Just kidding." He like calls his phone because it's like a phone call like triggered bomb.
Yep.
But no one blows up.
Wah, wah.
Don't you just hate when that happens? But then his because he has his phone in his hands, he's like walking off the stage, kind of like wondering what happened. It's a call from the teacher. The teacher tells them a little bit of a story
About good old mommy dearest.
How Mizuki, the only person who ever cared about you, actually met me. We talked. She gave me the idea that you just have this like need for approval from your mom.
Yeah.
Which she does. Mizuki would have known from spending time with him, and that's kind of the catalyst of why she gets murdered.
Yes.
But Yuko Moriguchi, the teacher, says that gave me the perfect opportunity to enact my revenge, and that is to not only go and meet your mom because I just happen to be. I also I can look up where Lady is, but I put that school detonating bomb actually in her office. And I really was hoping you wouldn't press the button.
Oh, yes, she was really hoping. How tragic it would be if you pushed the button.
I really, I was hoping you'd have a change of heart. That would never come, and then there's the reversing clock scene, and it kind of takes you.
Which is a really cool scene, by the way. It's really cool.
Really,
yeah, it's really cool.
For being a movie from like 2010, like this special in like a Japanese film from around roughly 2010. The special effects obviously dated, but they've aged gracefully.
They pulled out all the stops where they counted, and movie looks good.
So basically, the whole like ending crux of this movie is Yuko baited Light Yagami into blowing up his own mother, so it's all his fault, and he has to live with knowing that he's did this to himself.
He did. It's true.
And then the last lines go like
she leans in and
being a yeah.
She leans
being
in.
a teacher.
Yeah. You have it.
Being a teacher, she makes the point that this is the first step in your like road to recovery. Like you've been such a like rotten egg, but like this will teach you like this will be the beginning of your personal growth.
Finally, you can become a good person.
Psych.
Yeah, she literally
just
goes,
kidding.
Just kidding. Credits roll. That's the movie.
And that's such a hard cut.
It's so funny.
I think there's multiple ways to interpret this, and I want to get yours. Because it's set up like that, and I researched what a lot of people said, and consensus is that it's more that emphasis on that second to last line that she's saying she did all this for like to like teach him some life lesson or like so he could actually have the personal growth, when she really doesn't fucking care. That she's
out to ruin their lives.
This was all for revenge, and we see her crying in the rain. Like she's lost everything. She's already broken. She's taking you down with her, and that's why that becomes: is the mom actually dead?
So
because part of it is the just kidding is only reverting to like the motive of like this is for your this is for your own good.
So
you're gonna learn from this and grow as a person. But you've also said, which a lot of people said, because a lot of people are confused, that it's more that like this whole thing only matters if he buys and believes it. he's destroyed, and it's such like a mind, it's such a mind crush that it doesn't even matter if the bomb went off.
Yeah, I was gonna
That
say
was
I
sweet enough
actually revised
revenge.
my statement from when we watched it and talked about it
Oh, okay.
originally. I do think now I'm on the same mind, but I do still agree with it doesn't actually matter if the bomb blew up or not. We know that the teacher has lied in the
Yeah.
past because spoilers, she didn't give them AIDS. That never happened. That was a lie.
She wanted to, though.
She lied to them, just straight up.
Yeah, but she even says like, what a dumb way to like. How would that even work? Why would I have HIV? Because like her husband is like, why would I have the blood? Like, why would I? It would diffuse in the milk. It wouldn't like transfer.
Mm-hmm.
But
more about the fear element.
But in any case, it ultimately doesn't matter in terms of how the ending is perceived if the mom blew up or not, because it's more about the impact. And boy, does it have impact.
Yeah, that was very beautifully done. I never thought about it until Kay mentioned it, really, when I was watching the movie. And in the book, it was very clear that the mom did blow up. So in the book, she wasn't even in the building with the rest of the graduating people. She was, I guess it was just okay for her to, she wasn't teaching there anymore. So it was okay for her to not be at the graduation. And in the book, she called Shuya on the phone.
Yes.
And she was at the university, and she was like, do you hear the sirens in the background? Haha, because your bomb blew up.
See, I see why they didn't do that in the movie, because it's way funnier to have her show up at the graduation and then go.
Yeah, that was a beautiful touch.
I love that.
Well, I thought like but I thought it could have been that it's more that because she's on the phone, they're kind of giving her like a physical like manifestation there, like she's not actually there.
That's possible
because like she does like she kind of like grabs his hair and like pulls his head up, but like no one ever like says anything about her, like, and he's kind of running around like manic. So again, all this, like, whether it's full interpretational, whether things blow up, I think the ending's great because any way you slice it,
it doesn't matter
really
how
gets the point
real
across.
the ending is, because it's real to him, and so it's real to the viewer, and that's cool. It puts you in the movie in that sense, and that's neat.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have one last note. Well, last note for me anyway.
Sure, let's hear it.
Comment on education, because the author Kanae Minato used to be a teacher, and I think that's pretty relevant.
I would say, yeah.
You can really tell that she has opinions on the education system in Japan, and the teacher definitely has a very powerful voice, and you actually see a portrayal of three different teachers in this story. So there's her, and then there's her husband, who is kind of
he's very
famous and revered as a.
The husband is not much in the actual movie.
Yeah, but he's referenced, and he's supposed to be this.
He's
famous
the greatest teacher who's ever taught.
Yeah, he's a celebrity teacher, basically. And his whole philosophy was if there's one student in the classroom who needs his attention to become a better person, he's going to give all his attention to that student, basically. And he was sort of the role model of the next homeroom teacher, right? The one nicknamed Werther. And but Werther was kind of like a failed version of him, I guess.
Yeah, no, that guy was awful.
Yeah, but an interesting thing about the book is that every chapter is narrated by a different person, basically.
Oh, okay.
And every chapter has a different so let me just pull it up on my phone here. The chapter title of each chapter sort of refers to a different character in the book, and it's usually referring to the narrator of that particular chapter. But the first chapter is called The Saint. The second chapter, which was about Mizuki, is called The Martyr, which sort of makes sense.
That makes sense.
The third chapter is called The Benevolent One, and that is actually told from the mom of Naoki, the shut-in.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, the mom basically says to the teacher...
She's an enabler.
Yeah, my son did nothing wrong murdering your child. If anything, it was your fault. Why weren't you supervising your children?
I think that's a very big point that the movie is making, or that the author is making. And this is like the whole, all the expectations that people have on teachers in the modern day.
Oh, it's completely unrealistic. Which is the point.
Yeah. And what else is there? And so you see all these interesting ironic chapter titles, and then the last chapter is called the Evangelist. And well, my theory of it is that the saint, even though the saint is chapter 1, which was the teacher's monologue, the saint was probably in reference to her husband.
Oh,
because
most definitely.
she calls her husband the saint, or like people call her husband the saint. But the last one, the Evangelist, that would be Moriguchi. She's because if you think about it, he's all about teaching students a lesson by like being there for them and being so passionate in his teaching. Moriguchi does not have the same passion, and she explicitly states that. She's like, it's not my passion to be a teacher, but I care about my job and I care about doing it well. And she takes a more practical approach by literally trying to teach like Yagami a lesson by doing the whole bond thing. So yeah, I just found that interesting.
It is interesting.
The evangelist.
Oh, you know, there is one more thing to talk about. You told us that this author did another book that was also turned into a movie. Do you want to like pitch that real quick before we kind of close out? Because
yeah, my last point was I being a movie guy, Moya being book. Jon Spencer, you're anime guy.
I'm the anime guy.
I was gonna ask for recommendations in your respective media.
Ooh.
If someone actually watches Confession, or if they're interested in this because they're a Confession head. What's another piece of media you would
and that people watch it? Yeah.
Yep. So like, what would you recommend people? Do you want to start, Moya?
Yeah, I guess I'll go first since I was just about to talk about Penance anyway. So Penance is another novel written by the same author. So if you end up reading or watching Confession and liking it, Penance kind of has all the elements that made Confession so intriguing. So it's got multiple narrators, it's got murders, it's got a very badass female teacher. So yeah, that's kind of what it's about, and it was adapted into a TV miniseries. I believe it has 4 episodes in total, but it's available. They combined 2 episodes together. So yeah, it's like 4 hours long in total.
It's on my watch.
It's on my watch list. Yeah, but we're probably going to watch it together.
Oh, who knows? Sequel? A sequel to whatever this was.
Yeah, I really enjoy Moriguchi as a character in Confessions, and you kind of see that character sort of get brought back in Penance, and yeah, it's interesting. It really makes me wonder what the author went through in her career as a teacher. Probably some pretty horrible things.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I've seen how a lot of Japanese media portrays its school system, and it looks awful. It looks like a bad time for everyone.
Yeah. Anybody else got recommendations?
Oh, we'll go ahead and let Kay go next, unless he wants to go last. I can go next if you really want.
I'll let you go if you want more time to think.
No, I'm good to go. I just didn't know if you had some prescribed order preordained in your brain.
Oh, no order matters. And I have my pick ready, but if you
I'll jump in. So I thought about it. There's a couple of ways I could take a recommendation, but I think like what makes Confessions so compelling is there's a bit of mystery. It is funny. It's got the horror angle. There's a lot of moving parts, and so if I was going to pick something in the anime space that was kind of similar, I'd probably go Higurashi. Because Higurashi has that multiple POV kind of thing going on. We follow a lot of, it's got a large cast. There's a lot of violence because that show is also about murders and like a mystery about why these murders are happening. Yeah, just atmospherically, it feels very similar, and it's also got that lighthearted goofiness too. Because like, for anyone who hasn't seen Higurashi, it basically goes like there's like a goofy slice of life episode or episodes, and then it slowly devolves into madness until one or all the characters are dead, and then it kind of resets and it goes, "Why did all that happen? Figure it out." For 2 seasons, it's a great show. Strongly recommend it.
Yeah, good recommendation. Seconded.
And
All
so how
right,
about you,
and
Mr.
then
Movies?
Mr. Movies, I thought about it. I went with a more thematic thread, and that I think Confessions is a really interesting piece on how far people willing to go.
That's true. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So and sort of the darker atmosphere, maybe more serious. It doesn't quite capture the same silly tone, for sure. But a really good movie that I think if you like Confessions, I would recommend 2013 Prisoners.
Oh, I haven't seen
It's
that. You
a film.
wanna pitch it real quick? I don't know what it's about.
Yeah, I want to watch it.
It is a film where Hugh Jackman, the Wolverine himself, is basically a dad, and it's very similar to the plot of Heavy Rain. I think
Say
it's
no
around like
more, Jason.
it's
I'm
around
already sold.
it's around it's like a rainy day. I think it's like something like Thanksgiving or it's some holiday. So the parents are kind of hanging out, and like their 2 daughters are just
It's a
playing
father
outside.
daughter anime as a live action. Oh no, I have to watch it
Not
now.
uh, um uh so they're like playing outside, which for people born in this recent generation, basically instead of going on your phone for a day, people would actually like go run around in the streets and ride scooters or like whack each other with
Whoa,
sticks
wild.
instead of doing funny TikTok
To be fair,
dances.
that still does
Uh,
happen today, just less.
I don't. Does it?
Yeah, and so
Yeah, I still get ding dong ditchers at my house, so apparently it still happens.
kind of depends on where you live. Yeah, a little bit.
So they're playing, and then there's like a weird like camper RV like outside in the street.
Oh, that's weird.
The parents are like preparing like the dinner, and they're kind of just hanging out, and the girls are outside. And then when it's time for dinner, that's weird. The girls usually would have came in by now, um, and they're
Oh
gone.
no.
They have been heavy rained. It is a movie by a pretty good really great director. I love Denis Villeneuve. If you're familiar with Dune,
Oh,
Blade
okay.
Runner
Yep.
2049, I know we watched Enemy,
Yes.
which was one of his like earlier works. I think this one's a little bit better.
Enemy was okay.
Great
So
acting.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you put it on our movie list, right? I saw that one.
I
Well,
don't
if
know
it's
if I have
not
it on
there,
just because
it is now.
I've rewatched it fairly recently. Roger Deakins, great cinematographer. Music's by I believe it's Johan Johansson, and just a terrific cast: Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, Viola Davis, Paul Dano. Like it's a very interesting it's an interesting little like thriller piece.
Sounds cool.
Does sound cool. Yeah, I'm on board.
And then
I would watch it.
yep.
So
Sounds good.
now
Maybe I'll
I have
officially add
some
it.
things to go watch and or read from you guys. I know that Moya's already seen Higurashi, so she's probably not gonna rush out.
I still haven't seen the new season,
The remakes.
thing.
I don't recommend them.
In the
I
new.
don't recommend them. Don't watch the new ones. Watch the old ones, please.
Yeah, well, I've seen both
Please.
seasons of the, I don't remember what they're called anymore. One of
You
them
could
is
always
Kai.
read the novel, which is a monster.
Mm-hmm.
It's very long.
Well, I read the manga, but the manga doesn't
No,
go very
I'm
far.
talking about the visual novel. It's
Yeah, I know.
amazing.
No, I'm gonna read Umineko first because my brother has that one, and
fair.
he said it's
Yeah,
the best
I'm really
piece of
interested
media
in sequels.
he said it's the best piece of media he's ever experienced.
I'm not surprised. I mean, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see where he's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is it time to move on to our
I think that
final
does
wrap up questions?
that does close it out. So at this point, we'll turn it over to our viewers, anyone who's still sticking around with us. If you have any questions about the movie that you want to ask about, or questions in general,
even
yeah,
general
just general
things.
you want to know,
just
things that we care about.
because I feel like we have opinions on
It's
media
true.
are not. Moya, you at least you submitted a question.
Yes, would you like to?
Yeah, I
would you
submitted
like-
a question. I want to answer it. Well,
yeah, what was your question, Moya? What did you want us to talk about on the
dinosaurs. Yeah, I want your dinosaur opinion.
Okay.
Name your favorite dinosaur.
My favorite dinosaurs. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really think I have a favorite dinosaur, let alone multiples.
Come up
Everyone
with one.
has a favorite dinosaur.
I like pterodactyl because it's funny.
Yeah, goofy dinosaur.
It's a dinosaur.
That silent P joke really did wonders for you as a child. And you're like, that's the one.
It's amazing.
That's my guy.
T-Rex is a classic.
T-Rex is classic.
Classic, can't go wrong.
Well, like, there's two types of like favorite dinosaur, right? There's the people, and I feel like I was never the dinosaur
Yeah,
kid.
I wasn't either.
You know how like people say like it's you're either really into like dinosaurs, train superheroes, or like blah blah blah. Like I definitely wasn't dinosaur. I knew enough, but I'd have to like people. There's people who say like raptor or like stegosaurus,
Sure.
and then there's the people who are like a plesiosaurus actually.
Dinosaurs are fine. That's my that's my very spicy dinosaur opinion. They're perfectly adequate.
Haploplosiodon. But like the Land Before Time was such a generational corner piece that like
yeah.
I do like dinosaurs. I don't. Well,
I
dinosaur
like
media is very
Jurassic
hidden.
Park.
Well, you know
I
what?
like the Jurassic franchise. No, I'm just answering an audience question.
Oh, sure.
I'm not caught up though. I didn't watch the last two Jurassic movies. I haven't seen them, which is such a shame.
Scott, yeah, I definitely grew up with the Jurassic Park movies and tons of other media that I probably shouldn't have watched as a child, but I did. So, you know,
I didn't. That's the weird thing. I Jurassic Park was something like friends of mine like knew, and I was just kind of like, oh, it's dinosaurs. Like I don't think I saw Jurassic Park until I was like in high school.
Wow, really? Wow,
Yeah.
Incredible, dude.
Yeah.
If it helps, I didn't really watch Indiana Jones until like around high school either.
I've never seen a single Indiana Jones movie.
So I guess tit for tat.
Right when Dial of Destiny's come out, I was big. I saw all the Indiana Jones. I'm a little weird why after this new one everyone's saying like the Last Crusade's like the best one, when I felt like as a kid, and I'm like trying to like remember, it's like, did I always feel like the Last Crusade was like the worst of the original trilogy because it was like the worst Lego Indiana Jones levels?
You know, it's
was
been
actually
long enough for me. I'd have to go back and watch them all to really feel confident about speaking on which is the best Indiana Jones movie. But it ain't the newest ones. It's
Well.
How controversial
Some
of
people
me.
some people like Mutt. Have you thought of that?
They're entitled to believe
Everyone
that.
doesn't know. That one, oh, okay. Yeah.
Scott says that there's some
like Temple of
controversy
Doom. I like Temple of
for
Doom.
Temple of Doom. That's fair. I mean, it is different.
Temple of Doom's the fun one. I wouldn't call it the best quality, but
being different goes a long way, though. In a longer franchise like that, sometimes just being different is good enough. And then maybe that is a controversial opinion, but like Like, that Gohan show that's out this season, for like, to bring it back to anime real quick, the glasses girl. I I don't think that looks good, but at the same time, it's like, it is different from what usually comes out, and in a way that kind of makes it interesting and worth looking at, just for that reason on its own. You know?
Yeah, well, the last library patron I spoke to who took out the new Indiana Jones movie said it was really good.
Good for your library patron. I'm glad
Oh,
that
it was actually really funny
glad they enjoyed
when
that.
he was
Yeah.
checking, because he checked out a whole stack of DVDs, and then he checked it out at the desk, and he asked me, "Do you know if the Matrix Resurrections is any good?" It's like, I don't know. I haven't really heard people talk about it, which is true. For some reason, I just haven't seen any commentary of it online. And then I said, "Oh well, you watch it and you tell me. I'm waiting for your review." And then a week later, he did actually come back on the day that I was working, and he gave me a review of it. He said it sucked. And yeah, since then he's been returning to at the desk and giving me reviews of all the
Well, that's
DVDs
cool
he
though.
watches.
I mean, that's fun. That's fun.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but really, I haven't heard anybody talk about the new Matrix movie.
I've heard like bits and pieces, but to be honest, me neither.
Oh, the very new
Yeah.
one, like the one that came out like a year ago. Oh, I listen to reviews when I know I'm not gonna care about a movie, which I've only seen the one Matrix.
Yeah, same.
When after I was in, I might have been in college by that point. Um, I never got into like big franchises, and that's why I don't know how
Oh,
to
I
exist in the
watched it
modern
because
world.
I was trying very hard to lucid dream at that time, so I just looked up a list of best movies to watch if you want to lucid dream better. That was on it. It was okay. No real thoughts on it.
The very newest Matrix that's going to be a dated question probably sometime in the future. And Matrix Resurrections,
Yeah.
Yes, that
Resurrections.
one.
It is very controversial, because the whole thing is a huge meta commentary.
Well, if it's so controversial, why aren't people talking about it? At least on my corner of Twitter.
Because it's
Because
a 2-year-old movie
yeah,
at this point.
it's weird. Well, even when it came out, there was a lot of people who were really excited about it, right? But at the same time, there was a lot of people who were also like, "Yeah, but I'm good." It's already
Yeah.
been this long. I don't know if I need another Matrix movie in my life. And I fall into that camp where I'm just like, I'm not opposed to
Mm-hmm.
ever seeing it. Like, if you said, "Oh, tomorrow we're watching the Matrix movie and I'm going to see it," I'd be like, "Oh, okay, I guess."
There was a long withstanding Twitter debate on if Resurrections is bad on purpose.
Oh,
I no comment, haven't seen it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so like the whole crux of that, which isn't too much of spoiling anything, is uh the Matrix, Once Upon a Time, was made by the Wachowski brothers, who are now the Wachowski sisters. I think one of them just outright doesn't care about. I could be wrong about this. Please do not. No, I'm speaking of secondary knowledge to me. But I believe Lana Wachowski is the one who returned. Um, and there's a lot of speculation if that is begrudgingly, where Warner Brothers said, "Hey, how about we make a new Matrix?" And I believe both the sisters said, "We're good actually." And Warner Brothers said, "Okay, so who do you think like the new director should be?" And they're like, "No, we're good. We're not doing the Matrix again. We're kind of don't want to." But Warner Brothers was basically saying, "We're doing it with or without you." And they said with, and then the whole movie is all more about like Warner Brothers forcing the Matrix to be this new thing and bringing back Keanu Reeves and uh, Neil Patrick Harris is in it, and he kind of plays
A
kind of like how
therapist.
like in
He was
Space
a
Jam.
therapist. I do remember
Yeah,
that.
he was
It's
a
very
therapist,
memorable to me.
but he's borderline playing like in like Space Jam 2, how like Don Cheadle's like the algae rhythm,
Oh my
and we're
god.
kind of like
Is that a real thing?
we're kind of you didn't know Don Cheadle plays algae rhythm
No.
in the Space Jam? you, I might need to hand both the Space
I've
Jams.
seen I've
Next
only seen
podcast,
Space Jam
Space
1. I've
Jam,
only seen Space Jam 1.
Space Jam, Space. Yeah, no, Space Jam 2 was an interesting, and then they just it becomes like Ready Player One in the Looney Tunes, and it's not as good because LeBron needs the Looney Tunes to carry him. But yeah, he's playing algae rhythm, and basically they want to. The whole plot of Space Jam 2 is they want to deep fake LeBron into a bunch of classic movies because LeBron's the most popular guy on social media.
What?
That like think of like Lord of the Rings with LeBron, and it's
No.
like think about like, and they had like an AI algae rhythm who's played by John Cheadle, and that's the whole thing is like they go to LeBron and they're like, can we deep fake you into
That
all of the
sounds
Warner Brother
so
property?
stupid.
And LeBron says, that's so stupid. And he says no. But the AI algae rhythm gets so butthurt that he kidnaps LeBron's son, who's making like an NBA Jam game where it's like basketball but like with like trampolines and like bullshit
Sure.
rules. Um in basketball, and like the whole movie is like he kidnaps LeBron's son and he's like, well, I'm a supercomputer man, I can just make you live in the game of your video game. And then LeBron's like, I gotta go get my son. And then which eventually he does, and then he goes around and he has to recruit, and he runs into Bugs Bunny
Because
because
it's
he
well
ends up
Space
in
Jam
Toon
2.
World.
He has to.
Yes. And LeBron, being the LeBron James he is, wants to build a super team. So he literally goes on a whiteboard and he says, oh, I can have anyone in Warner Brothers' existence. I want King Kong on my team. I want Superman on my team. I want Harry Potter on my team. And he literally goes down the list. And Bugs Bunny's like, the best I can do you is a Daffy Duck and Tasmanian Devil, and basically Bugs Bunny manipulates the situation so he can have like his friends again because apparently the Looney Tunes weren't in vogue.
Sure.
Um, and then they all play a Dom Ball, and and then they play a fictional. But like the
They
whole
playing
thing
2v2
is like
hoops in
LeBron
Rocket
wants to.
League. Is that what you're telling me?
Kinda, yeah, but yeah, kind of like basically like instead of like playing traditional Rocket League, it's Dom Ball, so it's like they're playing
Oh,
Rumble.
okay.
And LeBron, being such a
So
basketball
there's no
purist,
skill
tells
involved.
yes, no, exactly. But LeBron's a basketball purist, and he tells the Looney Tunes, "We're not gonna be loony. Don't use any of the power ups. Don't use any of your cartoon physics." And then they start getting
Well,
destroyed.
yeah.
And then eventually it's about LeBron opening up
To wacky
to
basketball.
let people be who they be, which reflects his son. He wanted his son to be a basketball player, but he wants to be a game designer. So instead of taking him to basketball camp at the end of the movie, spoilers for Space Jam 2, did anyone really care?
I'm
He
sorry. I'm gonna
does
have to leave this podcast. You completely ruined my day.
he does the thing. Also, Bugs Bunny dies.
What?
Bugs Bunny
Alright,
dies
you
in
brought me
Space Jam
back.
2. But
We did it. We're all back together again.
Bugs.
That's all, folks.
yeah, basically in Dom Ball there is a glitch that if you do a super LeBron 3-pointer or something, uh your character glitches out and you lose all your data. So it sounds like the launch of Cyberpunk. Heyo. So LeBron's like, I'm gonna glitch out. I don't know what that would do to a human. I'm probably going to die. But then Bugs Bunny's like, not in my movie, bitch. So Bugs does the super duper cool pass or something to LeBron. I think it's like an alley oop, and I think he dunks it, and then Bugs Bunny dies. But then Bugs Bunny at the end of the movie, so as already established, he's supposed to take his son to basketball camp, but he's like, I've actually learned a life lesson, son. I took you to gamer camp, or it was like E3 or like PAX
Sure,
or something,
whatever.
and somehow they went all the way there, and he didn't realize it wasn't a basketball camp. It was we were going to a video game thing, and then at the end of the movie, Bugs Bunny shows up in the real world. And he's like, "How's it going?" And it's like, "What's up, dog?" And it's like, "Well, what?" And it's like, "Shut up! It's the end of the movie. We're not gonna kill Bugs Bunny."
Sure.
This whole thing is a big commercial for Warner Brothers, who's doing great. I love
Warner Brother Discovery. Max is much better now. I would take more seasons of Dr. Pimple Popper over Infinity Train any day.
Like over us.
The Flash was
I love
super
Warner-
great
they're
and
doing so great
successful
with
too.
Max. They're doing.
I cannot wait
they're
for
doing so
Henry
great with
Cavill to
all the
die
things
so we
that are
can
following.
reanimate his corpse
don't
and
talk about
finally
that.
give
Flash
the
was a great
fans
movie.
what they
We don't talk
wanted, an AI-generated fight
That's true,
against
we
The
only
Rock
talk
as
about
Black
positivity
Adam.
here.
I don't believe in negativity.
I am so
Yeah.
glad Barbie was a
Moya's
smashing
podcast.
success so that David can keep the lights on his $16 million home while all of his writers starve. He truly is taking cinema to the max.
Sorry for a long tangent on Space Jam, but I feel like that was mildly entertaining. Should I find random questions? Anyone in
Well,
chat have
we're
a
coming
random
up on the
question?
2-hour mark. It's just kind of what we were shooting for this pilot episode. So I'm good to close us out.
Our recordings. Yeah.
I'm good to
our
close us
recordings
out
at, like,
unless the
1:33.
chat has any more pressing questions. Otherwise, I hope everyone had a nice time. We had a steady viewership the whole time, which is fantastic. Really appreciate you guys coming out and watching.
Yeah, why?
Especially since
I mean, two of them are me, my guy.
especially what does matter? Especially since we didn't tell people what we were talking about in advance. So
Sure.
I do have ideas if we wanted to do this again for what we might talk about next, and if we do, I will probably announce it to people in advance so they could watch it and then show up, and it'd be kind of like a book club kind of thing. But that remains to be seen. We'll see.
That's true. I've also had ideas as well. I think we talk about. I think leaning into like we all kind of consume different kinds of media. I've thought maybe we do more of like a show and tell presentation where we'll pick like a random topic.
See, I've already got
that
one
would
for an
like
anime
fit for
lined
everyone.
up. It's great. Yeah,
yeah. Where I thought like we could do something where it's like the random topic of the day is vampires, and then I have to go find a vampire movie to share with the class. Moya can find like a vampire book, you can find a vampire anime, and then everyone talks about their thing.
Well, in any case, this is something that we're interested in doing again. Sometimes we might have different guests. There's always going to be a Twitch component, and there's always going to be.
It could even be you.
Yes, it could be. It could be Scott.
Yeah. Hi, Scott.
Do we have a budget to get Kay?
Yeah, we did have a budget to get you on the show. I mean, you built the set, so that was the budget.
Dude, when I show up in episode 7, it's gonna be so lit.
Scott, you could be sitting here with us.
You could be.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You could have your very own pit crew.
Yeah.
Shout out to the pit crew that allows all the access for this to be a cool thing.
But yeah, so for a pilot episode, I felt this was pretty good. I hope everyone had a nice time. Some version of this, like I said, will be up on YouTube because the VOD will disappear after a while. So of course anyone can watch the VOD up until that point. And be sure to let us know on the YouTube channel if you want to see more similarly concepted ideas, because we're not opposed to doing this again. All right. Well, anything else before we go? Our social media's on the desks already, so I think that's pretty self-explanatory. If you want to find us on Twitter at those places. Any other things you want to shout out before we head out?
Sleep lots and eat lots of good food.
Classic sign off. How about you, Mr.
I
Movies?
feel really stupid. I feel really stupid for not posting a link in the Discord. That feels like a
Oh, I should have done that too. That
Not-
was a silly. We oversighted ourselves. We were so prepared.
Whoopsie. Happy 4th of July, also known as Joey Chestnut Day, as well
America
as
Day.
also Joey Chestnut Day. Another great performance from him. Also, shout out to Glizzy Lizzy, who is a female hot dog eater.
That was random. Anyway, there's been fireworks going off the whole time. I'm sure that my microphone picked up some of them.
Not really.
Oh, really?
Now Moya will sing the Katy Perry song and play us out and get
What?
DMCA.
No.
All right, Moya.
No.
Let's hear it. Let's hear your rendition of
What
fireworks.
Katy Perry
Do you ever feel?
Huh?
Like a plastic
No?
bag
Do you ever feel?
I don't.
blowing through the wind or whatever.
What did Katy Perry even sing? Wait, she sang some song.
We just told you. We just told you.
Question time. Question time. Moya, what's your favorite Katy Perry song?
Bonus round.
Call Me Maybe. That's a song she sang.
No,
right?
that's Carly Rae Jepsen. Try again.
What? Oh, I don't know. No idea.
Okay, bonus lightning round question. Okay, ask another question.
What's your favorite
I'm just gonna turn this off randomly.
Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift. I know she's having her tour. Anti-Hero. That's a new song, right?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Okay, one more question, and one more question, and I'm killing the stream. Make it count.
What's another artist?
I was gonna say John Wilkes Booth. What? No.
Oh,
I don't know who that is.
I'm sure he did art in some capacity.
It was
wasn't he a theater actor?
Yes, but it was the only name that came to mind. I'm gonna end the stream on that. You think about the implications at home, people, of that.
Bang!
Yep, bang.
Oh, no,
stream over. I ended the stream right there.
Greetings and salutations. I will stop recording now. Good night, everybody.
I think that was...
Bye.
Well, hey, look, I got your attention. So, hey, you made it this far. How about subscribing? Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. All right, see you later. Sic Semper Tyrannis.